And there the system of education is where they treat you, their education is like they train you how, they teach you how to measure your land, what to do when police arrests you. So this is the kind of education that is going on there, where they're preparing you for the real world. Just maths or science is not, maths and science can, train you to go for a specific career, but it's not training you for the real world, how to deal with life, how to deal with the system around you. So that is why it is more important for you to know your rights. And you'll see in the Western countries, if the police is approaching you for an action, the people start talking about the amendments. They say, I'm exercising my right to the First Amendment. You'll find a lot of US citizens speaking about this to the police on their face. Since because we do not know what our rights and duties are, that is why we are dependent on lawyers.
Hello everyone, you're watching NMN Pods. I'm your host for today and my name is Ananya Sen. Today we have with us a very special guest, Mr. Avishek De Biwas, where artistry and activism collide in the realm of politics. Hi Avishek, how do you feel?
Hello Ananya, as I told you, I started acting like 15 years back, but every time I come in front of the camera, there's a feeling of nervousness. The mic is here, yeah, so...
What are you saying?
I think it's always been there.
Yeah.
Be it on stage, be it in front of the camera, it's always that little nervous, tingling heart feeling. It always comes back, but it's exciting.
The fact that you mentioned stage, we will come to that because we've both been a part of, the stage,
Yes.
simultaneously at the same time. So if you're talking about nostalgia, let's talk about our university days. So in Jadur University, I remember you were a very big part of student politics then. So, would you like to share a memorable moment from your student political days? And how has student politics in Jadur University helped you shape your political views today?
That's a twofold question, so I'll answer the second part first.
Yeah.
I think Jadur University is one place that has made me who I am today. It gave me the understanding of the world around us. I've always believed, and I think that's why I chose Jadur University over other colleges, was the fact that college education or education beyond school should not be limited to theories or just books. It should treat you or make you, prepare you for the real world outside. I think Jadur University gave me that. And if you ask me about a memorable moment, I specifically remember the date. It was the 20th of September 2014. তখন কলকাতায় there was a movement going on called #HookKolorob,
Right.
which started from Jadur University. And on that day, it was a Saturday, it was pouring. And about an odd 1 lakh citizens of Kolkata were out on the streets. They were marching to Raj Bhavan to protest a molestation and lathi charge in campus, which happened a few days earlier. I had got hurt in that lathi charge. I had a muscle injury on my left arm and I had a sling on my arm. It was raining. I was standing in front of Nandon. The protest march had already reached Raj Bhavan by then. It was pouring, but still there were people joining in that, and that was like, that moved me. I could see school students just after school who were like carrying bags and uniforms and walking, they're just joining. So I think that was one of the most memorable moments, which feels like out of the movie. That, what started as, a small complaint, what started as me running from door to door to, get justice for someone, had garnered support to an extent where so many people, my citizens, without any political color or flag, without any money, without any incentive, were walking there in that pouring rain. Yeah.
So, how has the political, the student politics really shaped your political views today? Has it?
Yes, of course. As I said, Jadur University gave me that space, it gave me that understanding, it gave me that perspective. So that place, beginning from there, getting a wider perspective, I think those days were the days where I realized what the real world is like. What coming out of a shelter of parents, home, school was like when we were on our own, where we actually understood what it is to stand and ask for rights or fight for rights or claim your rights. What are my duties as a citizen are, what my rights as a citizen are. I think these are some very important points. What we do is, from childhood, from in every household, whether educated or not, we taught about religion, we taught about God, we taught how to pray, we taught about our personal beliefs. But from the day we are born, we are regulated, conducted by one book, which is the Constitution of India in this nation. How many of us know that? How many of us have read it? How many understand what our rights are and what our sense of duties are? Do you think that 3 years of civics in school trains us to be a good citizen, a responsible citizen? I don't think so. So I think we have to, I think that is what uh, uh, kind of understanding that I received from Jadavpur University, from the political sphere, the understanding the studies beyond books.
So what you're trying to say is that while you were a part of student politics in Jadavpur University, there's a lot of things that you learned and unlearned, and you got to question why, right? So again, when we come out of the university gates and as an adult, we start working, there are so many things that contradict our ideals that we sort of start believing in or stand up for while we were at university. How do you deal with these contradictions? Because at the end of the day, when we are out of the university gates, it's about survival, it's about earning, it's about the basics, and which is essential to live, to survive. So, how do you deal with this difference, this contradiction in action?
See, as a student in a politically aware campus or a politically active campus, we were young bloods, and of course, we had a lot of josh where we were free enough to question anyone. We were free enough to speak our voices, like raise our voices or speak our minds. The moment you get out of those gates, from that protection, you face the real world where you're not as protected. You have to understand that you cannot say everything that you used to, or you cannot take on things or authorities like you used to. You had that protection as a student. Now you're not a student, you are a citizen. You are liable, you're subject to the laws of the nation. Even as a student you were, but there's no mercy anymore. There's no sympathy. Oh, that is a student. So I think definitely the challenges become bigger. Jadavpur University campus, college, it shapes you up, definitely. But the real world, as you said, learning and unlearning, that is where you start navigating where to raise your voice, where to calm down, where to keep quiet, where to speak. So I think that is a thing where you are left alone, where you don't have people to guide you there. You don't have professors to guide you there. You don't have your peers to guide you there. So those are some important decisions which you need to take, that keeping your principles, your values alive. How do you navigate into a system which may not be to your liking? So once you're out of campus, so that is it. You're out of that protection. You don't have your peers to support you or your professors to guide you. You're on your own. So I think one of the most important things to learn and unlearn, because you're on your own, is how to the challenges become bigger. You can't, you have to understand where I can speak, where I cannot speak, where I should raise my voice, where I should not raise my voice. So I think learning and unlearning on all that, keeping your values and principles alive, how you shaped up in college with your understanding, how do you navigate through the challenges in the real world. So I think that is a big challenge to learn from. When you're out, you're not guarded.
So again, lesser compromises, but more of wisdom that one should apply outside the university gates.
You compromise with wisdom. So if you need to compromise, that there also you use wisdom. I think that is one of the ways to navigate into the real world, because there is nobody's going to show you sympathy that, oh, he's a student or he's so young. there you will not get that sympathy.
Even students don't get much of sympathy.
We face that.
Yeah. So, again, coming back to nostalgia, you've been a big part of not just the political scenario in university, you've also been an active theatrician while in college. And university, and I know of that phase very well because I was in a different theater group, but we used to come across each other in festivals. So how do you apply arts and politics together? And I know you did it in a number of plays back then. How do you use art today? Or do you use it at all when it comes to, political strategy?
So, as you said, theater actually, so again, that also started with Jadavpur University. I remember the first time I got on stage was we had turned Rabindranath's Puraton Nritya into a play, and then that was my first role ever on stage in school,
Right.
in Rabindra Jayanti back in Xavier's, where I played the Puraton Nritya. So that gave me that strength, that this stage, this is my space. This is one space where no one controls me. Even the director cannot control me. So this stage, I own it. So that is where it started from, and Jadavpur gave me that wing. I got into theatre in Jadavpur itself with mentors, seniors, and everything, and that is where it started. Art has always been a very integral part of my politics. Theatre stage has taught me to raise my voice. I have raised my voice many a times through that art. So I remember Hoke Collar Up again, getting back there. This is how the name came. I remember a junior of mine, she had called me and she had told me that, that we went to protest in the administration, and they told us, you are art students, boys can sit and write poetry and girls can get married. Why do you need to protest? Go and sing a song or make music. And to that I replied, and that's how the name of that movement came. I said, if that's what they have to say, then hook collar up. Let there be that noise. So I think art has always been very integral to politics, not just for me, I think for the world around. And I think even in my campaigns, political campaigns that I am a part of, I try to integrate art as much as possible.
Okay.
I think you can reach out to people, you can reach out to the conscience of people through art more than if I say something. It might not reach you, but if I sing something to you, or if I show you something visually, maybe that can reach you with a far deeper impact. That is why in the world over, you've seen time and again where they've tried to ban art because it can get very political.
Correct.
And it can hit you very strongly.
So, Abhishek, from student politics to political analysis, how has the transition been?
Definitely, again, a lot of learning and unlearning, and through a lot of trial and errors. So, as I said, student politics is at a much smaller scale. The wider politics, or the politics of the nation, is at a much larger scale. Uh, a lot more to learn. You're dealing with, in college, specifically Jadavpur. Jadavpur is a very politically aware and a politically active campus. So you don't need to, you don't deal with people, not to the extent that I deal now, but you don't deal with people who are completely unaware. If you try to have a conversation, you can have a conversation, but in the outer world where the challenges are more, as you said off camera, that, survival is a very strong need. It's not just a want. People are fighting for survival. In college, we hardly found people who were fighting for survival. We were students. We were very protected. We had food to eat. We had things to do. But in the bigger world where, people are trying to just survive, I think there's a saying in Bengali which says, pete khide thakle bidde dhoke na. So if you're hungry, no matter how much I try to make you aware, you will not be aware.
Yeah.
So I think penetrating that part, telling people that, these are your rights, or making them understand that, you are entitled to this. Nobody's, giving you something in sympathy, or nobody's having mercy at you. What you are supposed to get is your right. So trying to even make them understand that sometimes becomes a very big challenge. So I think it's definitely challenging. It's a new thing every day. It's a new challenge every day. Which I love. I'm not a very, monotonous person. I don't like monotony. I like challenges in my work. I like to be pushed to the edge where I won't have to deliver. So I think that is there, and it's more challenging. But of course, as I said, I like doing it. It's there. It could be as a, let's say, we'll have to navigate however things come to us.
Okay. I just was thinking about something that is, you were talking about how in, like in a university you unlearn, and while growing up you're reading religious texts and you are more close to religion. But when you, say, suppose get into university, you learn and unlearn. And that is when you are taught about the Constitution, of India, and the preamble and all of it, right? Why do you think is knowing about, the Constitution of India so important, in a world where today in our country democracy is being questioned? So today, do you think that it is necessary for us as individuals to be more aware about what the Constitution has to say, rather than just the religious texts? If so, why?
See, I'll not try to intermingle between religion and politics, or religion and the Constitution. Religion I think is a very personal belief. What I can believe in whatever I want, but I don't think I have any right to impose that on you. That is one democratic value, to agree to disagree. That is the most important value of democracy. So
to coexist, basically.
To live and let live. So, as I said, it's important to know your Constitution because it gives you your sense of rights and duties. I know of schools, village schools, which don't give you standard education of maths and science and English and language, because that doesn't, again, is not enough to make you a responsible citizen. Sometimes you will hear in the news that a very learned or a very educated person is committing a crime. Education has got nothing to do with, you being a responsible or a humane person. Any educated person can commit a crime. But right now in our country, why is it, as you asked, why is it important to, know your rights and duties? Is because democratic values and processes are being abused. They're being used against us. Power is being misused. An artist is being banned. A journalist is being arrested.
Students are being arrested.
Exactly. So if you know your rights and duties, you know where to fight back. So I went to this visited this village called Tilonia, which is a self-sustaining village in Rajasthan for the last 40-50 years. And there the system of education is where they treat you, their education is like they train you how, they teach you how to measure your land, what to do when police arrests you. So this is the kind of education that is going on there, where they're preparing you for the real world. Just maths or science is not, maths and science can, train you to go for a specific career, but it's not training you for the real world, how to deal with life, how to deal with the system around you. So that is why it is more important for you to know your rights. And you'll see in the Western countries, if the police is approaching you for an action, the people start talking about the amendments, the rights they have through their constitution.
First they talk about I need a lawyer.
No, they don't talk about that. They say I'm exercising my right to the First Amendment. You'll find a lot of US citizens speaking about this to the police on their face. Because we do not know what our rights and duties are, that is why we are dependent on lawyers. I am a law student right now, but that doesn't mean that, without causing harm to my profession, I would want a normal citizen to know what their rights are, so that, the abuse of process, the abuse of law cannot be used against them. They can fight back without having to depend on a legal professional.
Again, so you're basically trying to say that knowing about your rights helps you navigate in the real world.
Yes.
Now, coming to my next question, what is the role of young voters in India? I mean, are they even voting?
Again, going back to history, if you remember, Anonna, it was in Calcutta when the Swadeshi movement started. students of the then Hindu college, they were protesting. They were the ones who started that protest, which raged into a fire later, and which that is, I think, one of the most initial sparks. So I think young voters are very important. India is a very young nation with about 65% of its population, which is between the age of 20 to 35. So I think, yes, they are important, but they need to be aware. Because they have less to lose. They're not at all, they're not that comfortable. Like, as we grow older, we're settling down. Okay, this can happen. I may not have to raise my voice against this. Okay, why do I need to, shout for the rights of these people? So we get comfortable as we get older. The young people do not have to fear, of losing so much as, settled people of the ages above us are in fear of losing. So the young voters are important because they are the ones who are going to, navigate this nation into our future. So I think it's in their hands as to, what they want for their future. It's not about, just thinking about the people who have already reached to a place, but I think it's their time now, and I think they have to take that decision. Where do they want to navigate their future into? So they are very important, and their right, them asserting their rights and fulfilling their duties as citizens, I think is very important. Voting is a part of that, of course.
Do you think, the fact that, there are lesser job opportunities now, economic fall down, do you think these things affect our young voters today?
It should affect, definitely, but as I said, that right now we are under a blanket of narratives, what is being shown to us. We are being, like, let's say when you go to a shop, you see, like, you see there is so many options of, let's say, a toothpaste, but you tend to pick up those toothpastes which you see the ads of. You're regularly fed into your head, oh, this is a good toothpaste. That there may be a better toothpaste which is which has not been advertised to you, so you don't tend to choose that. So I think it's very important for us to understand that where we should put our minds in. It's not just like whatever is being told to us. If we keep believing that, and if we do not inquire, if we do not question, if we do not understand why only this specific thing is being thrown to us, I think that is why it's making us more unaware. We are not being able to understand that there is more to what is just being shown. So right now, through whatever, in every medium, we are being told that this is only right, this is only good, that is best for you, this life is only a lifestyle, you have you go to expensive places, that is only your life. So reality cannot be Instagram. And without demeaning Instagram or that space, I think you have the right to showcase anything, but I think don't let those attractive shiny things just take your eye or take your mind. Look at the other things as well.
What, according to you, I mean, do you think that the political situation or the political scenario in Bengal has its influence in the national political scenario?
It has always had its influence in the national political scenario, which is why you will see
Even
that
now?
of course, you will see national leaders are always interested in the politics of Bengal and what is happening here. Because, as I said, Bengal shows the way. Everybody is interested in what Bengal is doing. You have Bengalis everywhere. Bengalis are running the bureaucracy. Bengalis are running the academics around the world. You go to any university around in the world, you'll find one Bengali professor for sure. So Bengal is something that exports culture, heritage, education, academics, the mind, strategy. You go to the biggest corporations in the US, you'll find a lot of Bengalis there. In every medium, there is a lot of Bengalis. So Bengal is very important to the political geometry and geography of India, and I want it to be that way because we have led. We have shown a lot of things to the world. We have contributed to a lot of spheres, like be it literature, be it maths, be it science. We have contributed, and I want Bengalis to do that, keep doing that. So I think awareness is very important for that also.
When you're talking about Bengal leads the way when it comes to politics, we cannot leave out a certain movement that happened in 2020, 2019, 2020. Let's not forget the CAA movement. So I remember in particular during those few months, you know, like Hook Collar Up, like when you're talking about Hook Collar Up, the entire CA NRC movement in Calcutta was double, triple fold that of what happened during Hook Collar Up. People were on the streets. Everybody was on the streets. What and if COVID did not happen and if that movement went on, I personally believe a lot of things would have changed. What are your views about that political wave that happened during Kolkata during that time?
So I'll tell you something. Like as you said, Calcutta was also seeing a huge wave because, of course, there were less restrictions here. The government or the authorities or the ruling party was not against you as a citizen for asserting your rights or claiming your rights as citizens. So that was there definitely, but that is one time when I was in Delhi. That time I was doing a fellowship with the Indian School of Democracy, and we were traveling around North India. We started from Delhi, we went to UP, and when we were in UP, that time there was no internet there because of the movement going on. We were in Lucknow, I remember, and we had to go meet some minister of power, and that is the only place where we found internet. So we were not getting a lot of news about what was happening, but yes. I think when as citizens we are we tolerate a lot of things. We don't fight back easily. Only when we are pushed to the corner do we actually we get up, we stand up, and we say like enough. So I think that was one moment where the citizens or a section of the society were like, this is the end. If we do not fight back now, our existence will come into question. You've seen the farmer protests in Delhi.
Right.
Even this time they've come down. They've come down with rations of 6 months because they know that if I go back accepting this, there'll be no survival for me. So might as well die right here. So it was the same thing that time as well. See, if you talk about the movement, or if you talk about that policy, Citizenship Amendment Act, I have no problem with, refugees coming in or refugees of specific religions coming in. My only problem is I already have more than 80 crore poor people in this nation who I can't feed. And I'm going to take more. Where will I feed them from? So these are the kind of questions which we should ask on policy. But we are not asking those questions. What we are doing is through these policies, by throwing these policies on people, on the common citizens, we're creating an atmosphere of fear. And when fear gets to that point, people will rise up. That is that battle for existence. So I think that is what is happening with CAA or NRC. It's coming, it's going, it's coming, it's going. Like people are uncertain now. Why are we doing this to our own citizens? Why are we making them feel that, you're not citizens?
Correct. So the Indian School of Democracy fellowship must have been a very transformative experience for you. Can you share your takeaway from that period of time?
Yes, as you said, it was the most transformative experience in my life. I'm really grateful to that organization, and I'm lucky. And I think that why I got to there was again student politics and those days. So Indian School of Democracy is an organization based out of Delhi, which aims to nurture grassroots politicians to ensure that we become principled politicians in the future. It was not just a fellowship. We are still strong alumni community. We are an active alumni community of about 272 politicians from around the country. And we have politicians right in the grassroots, from sarpanches to, panchayat pradhans to MLAs and MPs from Ladakh to Kanyakumari.
Wow.
So that's a strong community we have. And we are from different parties. But we have a vision that by 2047, we ensure that 25% of Lok Sabha has principled politicians. So that is our final goal, and we are working towards that. I think my getting a degree in law or being a political strategist all started from there, and I think it all is a step towards that goal that we are trying to make as a community. We might be from different parties, as I said, from different ideologies, I think, but we are trying to keep that principle and vision alive together around the nation.
So from the grassroots levels, basically, y'all are training people to have a goal, right? Even though
We're not just training people, I think we're supporting people. We're supporting politicians in their campaigns. We're supporting them. We're teaching them, how to run campaigns, how to, raise funds for your elections. We strongly believe that, there should be a transparency in how you are raising funds for your elections. If you take money from a corporate before you are fighting elections, you'll have to do a favor to that person later when you win. We don't want that. We don't want to give favors to anyone. We want to be a leader for everybody. So that is why it is important for us to, raise funds from very transparent sources. We are trying to implement those kind of practices, those kind of ideologies, those kind of beliefs in these people who are willing to, step into politics. When we were children, we were taught, politics is a very dirty space. Don't get into it.
Correct.
But right now, that thought is changing thanks to Indian School of Democracy, where we are being encouraged to come and, practice principled politics. It's not all that dirty. You have to clean it.
So what's your take on the role of law when it comes to shaping the politics of a particular state, Especially now
state.
that when you're...
It can be, but let's talk about the whole nation. Okay, I'll start with some names. Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, Arun Jaitley, Mr. Jethmalani, all of these people, all of these politicians are lawyers. So law is that space which, controls politics from going out of hands, controls politics from being abusive. So I think it's very important to know the law. I think me studying law right now, because I deal with law, criminal law, on an everyday basis when I'm, doing my political campaigns and doing my strategies. So I think law is one very important part, understanding to, navigate or, the politics or, shape up the politics of a nation. It's not just limited to this nation, it can be around the world. I think if you know the law, you know what your sense of duty is, what your rights are. You know where you can implement what. So I think we see a lot of policies coming from the government which are thrown out by the courts. So I think this is complementary to each other. The judiciary, the executive and the legislative should complement each other, and that's what it's doing. So if you have an understanding in two spheres, I have an understanding in politics and experience in politics, and now I'm getting an understanding, a degree in law. So I can use these two as a very strong machinery to shape up the politics in the future, which I intend to.
Avishek, you mentioned this few minutes back that when we were younger, we were told that politics isn't a very good thing. Do not become a politician, Don't get your hands dirty. Later on, when I personally went to college, to university, there were obviously student political parties. And, I was again told by my family members that, Nana, you don't have to do student politics. Go and study. That is why you're going to college or university. Now, in order to rebel, I joined theatre. Okay. That was the next best thing. But, this, and I personally do not believe that, if you are doing student politics in university or in college, you get diverted from your studies. Now, but then again, there is this, majority of people who think that way. And this is mentioned again and again in a number of situations. Even during the Lathi charge in JU, that's how the students were told, they were Lathi charged in the university when all the gates were closed.
And the lights were off.
In JNU, students were beaten up in the library. These were students who
Jamia, you're talking about Jamia.
Oh, sorry, Jamia. These were students who were studying in a library and they were beaten up. And they are still scarred today and traumatized today. So, when I have you in front of me, who's been such a big figure when it comes to student politics, and now you're studying law and you have a steady career outside the university gates. Um, I think you're the best person I can ask this question to. A, does this really hamper your studies? And in order to just sort of take away all the misconceptions that people have when it comes to student politics.
Okay, so I think, as I told you, that there has to be a balance. When you come into university, it's not just, you don't want a nation full of people who are just machines, who are like, I am a good software engineer, I am a good doctor, I will only understand software, and I will only understand science, and I will only understand this, and I will only understand that. You want a citizen. You're trying to create a responsible citizen, not a machine who is just going to be used as a pawn in a machinery. So I think it's very important to be aware. We cannot say ignorance is bliss. We cannot say that. So you can't just study science, maths, and become a very good doctor, and then suddenly the process of law is abused and it's used against you, and then you don't know what to do. So it's very important to be aware about what is going on, how the system is done. And I think the most important leaders, our present chief minister, she was also a very big student leader. That is
Yeah.
where most of these politicians have come up from. So why discourage the students from politics? They should be aware. College should be beyond the books. College should teach you what the real world is going to be like. So it should prepare you. So I think politics is very important, and that balance should be there. Yes, do your studies. Jadavpur gave me that space. It let me do whatever I want. It let me do my theatre. It let me do my political activism. It let me ask those questions. And so that is why I feel wholesome coming out of that space. And I'm very grateful that I've been a student there. And I faced the real world even when I was there. So I think that is very important. And I think what we're calling a misconception that our parents, even I've been warned so many times, don't get into politics. Because I think our parents, especially in Bengal, I think we've lost a generation in 1971.
Right.
We lost a generation of people. There's a generation gap. So many students were killed because of raising their voice. That was the system coming down at them heavily. So I think that fear has cropped into our parents. They
Right.
said, if you get into politics, then you might be used as a pawn in this whole, for the benefit of someone else.
Correct.
So I think that is the fear which parents tell us not to get into politics or do politics. But I think it's very important for you to understand what is going on around you. I think politics is, as Machiavelli said in 1513, that there is nothing which is apolitical. If it's raining today and if you don't have to go out, you like it.
Right.
But if it's raining today and if you have to go out for some work, you
You
say,
will
I
not
don't like
like
it. You're
it.
always having an opinion.
Right.
So there is nothing which is apolitical. Everything is political. There's nothing called a politics.
Yeah. Now, my last question to you is, and it's a fun question, okay? If you were to have a roundtable conference, like a roundtable discussion with a few politicians, living or dead, who would they be?
I don't think I want to have a roundtable discussion with any of the present politicians, but I've been, since I've, grown up reading about these people, and, when I got into, I read a lot. I love reading non-fiction. I don't read a lot of fiction. So in my roundtable, I would like to have Mahatma Gandhi. I would like to have Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, and I would like to have Mohammad Ali Jinnah. I would like to have these three people specifically because I want to understand what their perspective or their understanding was in through their journey. I think life is all about you just don't learn
Jinnah,
from
Gandhi,
books.
and Subhash Chandra Bose.
Yes.
What a combination.
They've had very different ideologies, understandings, and their actions spoke about it. So I
Right.
think actions are way more important than words. So I want to understand why they did what they did, or why they moved in the way they moved. So I think that's going to be a very big learning for me. So yeah, these three people.
No one living, like not even in the international political scenario? No political leader of today?
There are people, in fact, I really idolize a gentleman who is shaped my understanding of politics. But despite me coaxing him a lot, he's not coming back. He resigned in as a member of parliament in 2019, and I have tried to beg him to fight the elections again, but he doesn't want to do it. I hope I don't get. Okay, I'll name him. He's my political idol. His name is Tathagat Satpathy. He was an MP from BJD, from the Dhenkanal Angul constituency in Odisha. He is also the editor of Dhoritri and Odisha Post, which are two of the most important newspapers in Odisha. And his mother was the chief minister, Mrs. Nandini Satpathy of Odisha, during Indira Gandhi. So I really idolize this gentleman. I've seen his speeches like you go to watch movies. That's how I came across him, and I was fortunate enough to meet him also. And we still have exchanges. So yeah, he's one gentleman I would learn from. I would love to learn from in my journey in politics.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for coming today. Really had a nice time talking
Thank
to
you.
you.
It was amazing talking to you,
Yes,
Ananda.
and after a long time,
Yeah.
after university's days, that we are sitting here today. So I'm hoping that you have enjoyed our conversation as well. Stay tuned for the next episode.